Hello and welcome to my very first tutorial. Just take a look at it. This is a gigantic creeper farm. Yeah, it's massive. Now I I was looking to make a creeper farm, so I did my usual thing and went online and checked Google, and we saw some classic ones where you put in a cat and it scares the creepers off for the edge and they fall down into some water. Getting a cat and taming it is a little bit of hard work, and I didn't feel it was as efficient as it could be. So I spent a few days trying to make a creeper farm, and it got out of hand. It got seriously out of hand. So I'm going to quickly show you what this is composed and comprised of. I'll put myself into spectator mode so I don't have to worry about walls and other such things. It's very big, but it's also incredibly simple. If we go inside here, obviously very dark at the moment, but essentially we have masses of platforms where creepers and only creepers can spawn. As you can see, there are a lot of creepers here at the moment. This is 8 platforms high, and each one of these sets is 25 platforms, and they have a 3x3 spawning area. Down here we have the water where they land. They fall down here and then they drop to their death down here into a collection system here, and the rest of this craziness is literally just an AFK area. So you get yourself onto these rails, it just takes you around, back through the bottom there, back up and around again, and all that does is get the creepers to move around. The issue that I had when I first created this was that lots and lots and lots and lots of creepers were spawning, but they weren't falling off the edge, and I was thinking, I really am going to need cats here to make them run away. But as it turns out, as long as you keep on going in and out of their range, they move around. They don't even have to see you, you just need to be within their range, and they will move around and jump off the edge and take themselves to their death. So your AFK point is just going through this railway system, and when you're finished, you get off, you go down to your collection point wherever you happen to put it, and collect the masses of drops. Now this one, as I said, is 8 high. It's modular though. You can at the moment, if you look inside, the modules are 5 platforms by 5 platforms. They don't need to be that big. They could be bigger, they could be smaller. You can have 3x3 or a 7x7, and you can have just one row of platforms. You can have as many as I've got here. You can increase this by another 4 or 6 as well. It really doesn't matter. It's depending on what you need out of the system. Now with this one, with 8 of them at 5x5, I've managed to get 3,500 drops every hour. So you could make it half this size and still get 1,700-ish drops an hour. It's really entirely down to how much you need, and you could technically probably double the proportions of this as well, because you could bring this out so it's no longer 5x5 but maybe 7 or 8x8, and then you could make it a little bit taller and you could double your output and give yourself 7,000 to 8,000 drops every hour. So entirely down to what you need. So let's get started on this mahoosive build. And here is a quick rundown of exactly what's needed to make this huge farm, one of this size. Obviously this can be reduced massively or increased massively depending on the size that you go for with this farm. But for this particular one, it will require 9,200 cobble. That's over 2.5 double chests. Then we move on to the trapdoors. We need 3,230, which is almost a double chest full. We need 200 carpet, 64 roughly levers, depending on where you place them and how far spaced apart they are. Glass, we need nearly a double chest of glass. Sorry, no, nearly a single chest of glass there. It says 1,660. Then we need 325 rails. They don't have to all be powered. I've made this all powered just because I'm in creative and I can. But yeah, in total rails we'll need 325. We'll need 900 slabs and 13 plus hoppers. You can get away with 13, but you will probably need to put in more, and you'll also probably need to put in some chests as well down at the bottom for the collection. Okay, so as you just heard, this thing produces a lot of gunpowder. So we're going to make the configuration that you just saw, which is going to be a 5x5 platform level. So each level will have 5 3x3 platforms on it, and then another 5, and then another 5, and then another 5. So that means that on each level there will be in total 25 spawning platforms, and then we can have as many levels really as you like. I mean, up to maybe 10, possibly even 15, but the resources needed for that just gets ridiculous. So we'll go somewhere between 4 and 8 of them. At 4 we're getting around 1,000 drops an hour, and at 8 I would assume it'll be more like 2,000, but I will get some proper figures before we do that. So let's just start making a platform. We need to make this platform 29 by 29, so just literally a square that is 29 in every direction. So that's basically the outer perimeter, the walls. Obviously I'm making this out of the cheapest material, cobblestone. You can make this look pretty. It's just that this uses so many materials that we're going to try and keep it as cheap as possible on here. So now we need inside, this all needs to be filled in, so we'll do that. Wow, even creative, that takes a long time. Okay, so now we've got ourselves the very base of our farm here. If you're in survival mode, I'd highly recommend lighting this up for the time being, just whilst you're building this part up until we've got water on here, because obviously you are going to be absolutely inundated with mobs. This is essentially a mob farm because you are in an area where the only possible place for spawning is here. Nowhere else. So as soon as you hit a night cycle, this will be filled with mobs. So get yourselves lit up, and then we want to start doing the edges here. We want to bring all of these edges up to 4 high for the time being, so that we can start putting in everything needed to get the water in place. So we'll start doing that now. It's just 4 high all the way around. Okay, so next we need to place in all the blocks to enable the water to run down into the centre. It's a very specific pattern, and it required, for some reason, a lot of mucking around to get this to work properly. I think mainly because the water in this update 1.13, the aquatic update, it plays a bit funny sometimes. Sometimes you can place down some water and it will behave exactly the way you expect it to. Other times it seems to glitch, and then you have to remove the water and put it back in, and suddenly it does as it's supposed to. So this probably took a lot longer than it should have done. So every corner here is exactly the same as the last corner, so you see one corner done and you'll see all the corners done. So we start off, this is exactly where the water is going to go in each corner, so right on this piece here. The next thing is to come along here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and bring that in 1. Well, let's just do the 7 first, so let's get that out of the way. So as you see, you just make this sort of shape here, so I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other 4 sides now. Go, so that's the second set in, and as you can see, we've moved along, in case you missed it, 7, and then once you've done those 7, because water needs to stop at 7 so it can drop down another level, otherwise it does stop at 8 completely. So if it was 1 further here, it would never drop any further down, so we need them all at 7, and we've done that to all 4 corners. We now need to bring it down 1 more level, but we need to leave a channel in the middle, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need this channel coming down, and that's going to happen on all of them, and we actually need that channel to be 4 long at this point. So you can see that everything here, it makes much more sense when I put it together, but everything here is in a straight line, and then we start going back in the same shape as we did before. So we just do the exact same shape as we were doing before, until obviously we get to this side. So let's get this done as well. So I can quickly go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and it's the same again. So now we can just fill in those last couple there, and this is the shape we're going for. So I'm going to do the other corners now. And there we go, that is the shape that we're looking for. As you can see, there is this little channel, as I was talking about, in each of the 4 where they join up together, and they are 4 long. Each one of these channels is 4 long, so it makes it easier. But yeah, up here, if you need to take a screenshot to see how that was done, you can. And then all we need to do now, if everything's been done correctly, is to just place the water in each 4 of the 4 corners here. So place there, and place there, and what this will do is it will come together and give us the shape of basically what our hole's going to be. And there it is. So we got there 4, 8, we've got 12 holes to make. So let's just quickly smash this through. So now anything that falls into here, as you can see, all the water, this is why the channels are here, when they join together they go straight down as well, so no matter where they land anywhere in here, they will then just be pushed out and fall down here. And down here is where we will have our killing chamber, but we will worry about that part later. The next part of this will be to create the first of the tunnels that's going to be used to make the creepers move around. So when we go AFK, we go onto our cart, we'll go through the tunnel, and it will stop the creepers from standing completely still and or not spawning at all. So to start with, we're going to want to bring up these walls again. So this means the exciting task of raising them up by another 8 blocks. I won't bore you with doing that in real time, so I'll come back to you when this is done. Right, so now we are going to start with the tunnel. Now, you don't have to make the tunnel out of glass. You can make it out of any material you want. I only make it out of glass just so that when you are AFK, you can see where you are. But for all intents and purposes, you can make this out of cobble as well if you want to, or any other material that you please. Now we have to decide which way it's going to go through. I think on this one we're going to make it go through in this direction. So the first thing we need to do is to find the center point, which is obviously where this place is here. And let's just make sure, yep, that's definitely the center point. And about 2 down from there is where we want to put in, this will be the top of the tunnel. So I've literally just gone 2 down, and then on the third one I've placed in the glass. So let's do this, put it all the way across like so, and that's nice and easy. Again, if we wanted to, we could make this tunnel entirely out of glass, so I could put a piece here and do the same when I go down here, because obviously need to fit, so there, and then make the tunnel like that and go all the way through in the tunnel. So what we need next is to just push this tunnel all the way through to the other side. So I shall start doing that now, and I will come back once I've finished the tunnel. So that's the tunnel completed, just the glass around the outside. Obviously we still need to put in the rails, and we still need to put in the power for those rails. So first of all, I will just put in all of these. Now obviously everything that I'm doing here as well can be done in any order you like. Most things don't require a specific order. And in this tutorial, because I'm in creative, I am being lazy and I'm making every single rail here powered, which really isn't needed in survival and would get very, very expensive. You can put a powered in, every 5 or 10 rails. You don't actually need that. I'm just putting it in for now because I can, and you can power them however you like. I mean, I could have just made all of these redstone blocks, but I will use some levers and just turn a few of them on along here. There we go. Put some levers along here. Let's just check that everything's powered up. Yep. All of those are now powered rails. So that's that part of it out of the way. So the next thing we need to do now, obviously the creepers will be falling from above, and if they landed on here, that would be a problem. So we need to make another water platform here, so that anything that does land on here gets pushed into the water on the ground without disturbing the flow of this water. So that's what we're going to do next, and that's going to be done by literally just making a small platform along here and then adding water across here. Okay, so now we are going to put in the platform here so that the water comes down from up here and then follows along this wall here and then falls into this water. So I mean, you could fill in this one here, but I am going to leave that blank because there's no real need to fill it in, and considering this will be done in survival, that will really eat up even more of your resources, so I'm trying to keep the resource use as low as possible. So we just need to make this 8 long on each side, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because that's how far water will run, and the water will stop here. We don't want the water falling into here, because that can change the dynamics of the water underneath, especially in the aquatic update. It just it's not fun. So we're going to do 8 on each side, and then do it all the way up here. So I'll do that now. There we go, and that is that whole area is now completed. It's now long enough for this to work. So we now need to worry about putting in the water itself again. Now, I don't know, I'm pretty sure this is an aquatic issue, so may not be the same issue when you're using 1.12 and below, but definitely in 1.13 this is a problem. So to get this water to work, we need to put in initially 2 blocks all the way down one side of this tunnel, and no, I have no idea why. I spent probably half an hour trying to get the water to run the way I wanted it to, and this was the way to do it, and it doesn't make sense, but it works. That's the important thing. So all I'm going to do now is place water all the way down here against this wall that I just created of cobblestone, and good old aquatic updates are causing occasional jutters here. Lovely. Okay, so you'll see that all of those get to the edge and then no further. So the next thing we do is, you see how that now stays. So if we just take out this first line that we made, and I'm sure if people have got better ways of doing this that I haven't worked out, then by all means let me know. So now I'm going to place on this second part of the wall, here and there. Excellent. And we've got the same going on here, but it never actually falls down. So, and right in here, the water is going in opposite directions. So basically, if a creeper falls anywhere now, no matter where it lands, it's going to get pushed off and then down into the center. And bizarrely, we can also now get rid of this piece of wall here. Not needed. Everything stays in exactly the same way as it was. So let's just get rid of that. There. So the next part we're going to do is, I think we should start making the laborious part. This is the quick part, believe it or not. We're now going to move on to doing all the spawning platforms, and then once we've done those, we'll be making the other tunnel and then the full track for AFKing. So let's do what we all know and love now, and raise these outside walls again. We're only going to raise them by 2 for the time being, because that's where the platforms are going to start, which will be 2 higher than we are here, which means that when a creeper does drop down anywhere, it will have the space to be able to be pushed off still. So we'll just raise these up by 2. And now we need to start on the platforms. So the platforms need to have a space of 2 between each one, so that we can start fitting in the trapdoors as well. So, I mean, at this stage we could just place the trapdoors around here, and in fact I think I will start with that. So let's get our trapdoors on. We need to put trapdoors around all of this level. So that's our first round of trapdoors put down. Now, as I say, we do need a space of 2 on all of these, so you'll see that that's only 1 gap, so that's no good. So we need to actually start there on this side, but look, there's only 1 gap here, so technically we need to start here. So now there's a gap of 2 here and a gap of 2 here. This will be the beginning of our first platform. Now each platform is 3 by 3, and then you need a gap of 2 again. So the way I tend to do this, and it'll probably be easier to do it like this in survival as well, is to place that gap of 2 with just some blocks. I'm using cobble obviously, and then do your next 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and we do that 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, and that's how I do this all the way. So we'll do this all the way to that end. We've got to keep the same spacing when we're going that way as well, and then we'll get back to it. So that's one level of platforms put in. So next we're going to be removing these blocks we put in just for spacing purposes whilst we're building it, and also placing down a carpet in the center of each 3 by 3 square, which will be explained later as to why, but it'll all make sense. So let's just get on with that. And much like you did earlier, recommend lighting things up if you can, because this is going to be very dangerous here if you're doing this in survival. So light things up as you go, and then when you're done with that area, remove the lighting, or you can keep the lighting in here all the way up until the very end when we have to activate it. But yeah, don't make that mistake. So next is a whole bunch more trapdoors. This is why this is such a costly build, because just for this one level we've obviously got all of these trapdoors going around the outside, and now we need trapdoors around every single side of each of these 3 by 3s, which gives us 12 trapdoors for every single one of these, which adds up very quickly. So I'll start putting these on. Wow, that was a lot of trapdoors. Okay, so this is our first full level of platforms here. There are 25 spawning platforms, and technically this could be the top of it. This could be the only level that there is. It just depends on how many resources you want to use. If the math still works out, then one spawning platform should be worth around 250 drops an hour, so 4 or 5 stacks, somewhere around there. So before we continue, obviously I'm not going to show you every level. I don't know if I'm going to be putting in 4 or 8 levels on this one. I think possibly 8 if I can push myself to do it, because I'd like to see just how many we can get when we've got 8 levels in here, because I've never tried that. I wanted to explain exactly why we're putting in these carpets. So you'll notice, center of every single one we've got this carpet here, and it's purely there so that we can stop spiders from spawning, because we want this to only spawn creepers, nothing else. So one of the mobs that we can stop immediately is by just putting in this carpet, and that means there's no spot big enough for a spider to spawn. I believe they need a 2x2 area, if I remember rightly. There's no way for them to spawn there. And in case you weren't aware, the whole point of these trapdoors is because when mobs walk across here, they see these as upright. They see them as open. So they will quite happily walk off the edge thinking that there's something to stand on, and there is not. Now we need to stop all the other mobs from spawning as well. You've got your Enderman, you've got your skeletons, you've got your zombies, things like this. They all need to be stopped as well, and that's purely on how we do the next levels. So the bottom level is slightly different from all the other levels, as is the top level, and you'll understand why next. So let me just quickly show you how we do the top level, or not the top level, the next level up. So this is the standard looking level, which is slightly different from this bottom level. So as you can see, this is exactly 2 blocks, 1, 2 blocks high. Now the problem with making it exactly 2 blocks high is that all those mobs I just mentioned can all fit in there. Now a creeper is slightly smaller, tiny bit smaller than that. So creepers can actually fit into a space that big. So if I place these in here, there we go. Now creepers can now spawn in all 9 of these locations. The reason why I haven't put one in the center is obviously because we've put carpet there, which is around about the same sort of height as one of these trapdoors. So although nothing can spawn on the carpet, it means that it won't get stuck or trapped in there. It will. There is a space there for it to be able to fit, but still no other mobs will be able to fit in there. It's still under 2 blocks. So that's how we're going to make the next set, and obviously it will still have all these around the edges, and don't forget we will be bringing up the size of the build. So all of these down here, these will be coming up as they did before, and again we will be putting in trapdoors along here as well. So I will do that for either 4 or 8 levels and come back. Oh dear lord, we did 8 levels. Yeah, it's quite big now. Yeah, that's big. So it's exactly the same as I did with the first level all the way down. So you see underneath each one we've put in these trapdoors, on top of each one we've put down the carpet, and we've put around the trapdoors around the outside and on the edging here for all 8 levels. In creative, with 2 people, that took about an hour and a half. So yeah, if you really want it this big, you can. I would recommend, if you're doing this in survival though, to maybe knock it down to maybe 4 or even less. It just depends on what you want to get out of this. So now we need to do the top of this, which is slightly different. I'm going to make the top out of glass. There's no need for it to be made out of glass. Obviously there's going to be, as you saw at the beginning, there's going to be another one of these tunnels coming across here. Now it's just to get us close to the creepers so that they start to move, so they don't just stay in one place. They don't need to be able to see you. It's got nothing to do with the glass at all. The only reason I keep the glass here is because I think it's nice when you're going around to be able to see inside. So I make the top of this glass. Now that's not too big of a problem for me, apart from the fact that I always use a resource kit that makes glass completely clear, like that. So what that means is that obviously it's very difficult to see where you're placing trapdoors, because now we're at the top level. The difference is that obviously we still need to put trapdoors above. So you can make this out of any material you want to, but I make it out of glass just so that I can see what's going on. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to lift all of this up again by another 3 around the edges, and then we're going to be placing glass in all the way across, and then I'm going to be placing in these trapdoors on all of the glass. Glass time. Trapdoor time. Right, with all those finally placed in blind like that, we can see that they hopefully all line up nicely, and they do. So that's the spawning area now completed. Again, if you're doing it in survival right now, this place could be death, so keep it lit up until you're ready to start the farm and are happy to have creepers falling about all over the place. Otherwise you'll just destroy your entire farm. Never a good thing. And again, just another reminder, these blocks are all, it doesn't matter what they are. I've just used blocks for the outside. I've just kept the blocks nice and simple in terms of they don't cost much, and I've used glass in areas where I think it would be nice to be able to see things, but it really is entirely up to you. You can make this as fancy as you like. So next up is I need to see which side I've put my current tracks, and it's on this side. Okay, so we want to put in another set of tracks now, so it's exactly the same as last time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place, again, these can be almost any block that you can place a rail on will be fine. So let's put this all the way across to here for now. Okay, and then we just need to put down some powered rails again. You've seen all this before. There we go. Again, you don't need all powered rails, it's just because I'm currently in creative mode. And then power them however you want. Again, if you want to use redstone, then use redstone. Redstone blocks, whatever you like. So, there we go. Oh no, not quite. Let's just do that one all by itself. That's no good. Right, there we go. So, all of that is now powered. And again, like last time, we want, obviously we need the space to put in our minecart, so that's the sort of shape that you need just so that your minecart can get through. And we're just going to do this all the way from one end to the other again, and again it doesn't need to be glass. I just like to use glass so I can see. There we go, that was nice and easy. And now we are going to raise up the sides again so that we're up to the same level as this tunnel. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And for the next part, really, if you're in survival, you might want to leave this part till the very end, purely because we're now going to make this area very, very, very dark. We're just going to slab over the top, so that we're making sure there are no spawning points again. So again, slab with whatever you feel you want to slab with. I'll go with some stone brick, as it seems to fit in with the very boring grey that we've got going on here. So with the slabs, in case you're unaware, If it's a single slab at the bottom half of a block, that is unspawnable. Nothing can spawn on that. If you do that, it is then spawnable. So you never want it that high up, so you always want it on the bottom of the full block. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slab all of this to make it dark inside, which even in this creative world with full-on daylight will probably mean that we'll start seeing everything spawn in. So there's the top on there, half slabs so that nothing can spawn on top, and it's very, 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 very dark in there. So the next thing to do is we need to start making these rails come out, and as you can see, stuff's falling out of here already. We will be doing the collection area later. Again, you can do that whenever you like. You could have had the collection area there straight away in survival. You do it in whatever order you prefer to do it in. One thing that's just sprung to mind is that I said earlier that you can make this bit that I've made out of glass out of anything that you like. I mean, yes, you can, but nothing can spawn on glass, so that's one reason why having glass is a good idea. Obviously, there are plenty other unspawnable blocks, and there's other ways you could make this out of any block you like, as long as you brought it up to this level here so that there was no space for spawning or anything like that. Just so you're aware, you know, there is another reason behind it other than just because I can see out of it. So next up is we are going to bring this one out, just maybe 2 or 3, and we are then going to bring this up to the same level as the one up there, which, based on how tall this thing is, might take a little minute. So let me quickly do this. Okay, that might be the right height, so we'll find out. We'll just bring this one out as well. Bring this all the way over here. So notice I'm not counting, I just want to bring it out to the same distance, and oh, very close to being exactly right. So this just needs to come up one more level, and then we're at the same level as this one. So let's just bring this back a bit, get it out of the way. So this is the level we want to be at, and from here we want to go around 25, maybe 30 blocks off into the distance. So we'll do that. So I've gone for 30, and then we're just going to move around, and we're going to come back. That was what, 4 wide there. And we'll bring this all the way back here. So we want to join this up with here, but we don't obviously want this to interfere. Now don't forget, we're going to be putting down rails on here, then we're going to be covering it as well in glass, so we need to make sure that it doesn't interfere here. So I'm going to bring this back just to be certain, a couple more, because it doesn't matter as long as it's not interfering with it. And then we'll bring it out to join up with this one. There we go. And now we've got the fun task of fitting rails all the way across here and down here, and then fitting it with glass as well. So I think for that, I mean, it's obvious what I'm going to do, so we'll just cut to that being completed. There we go, that's that area completely covered in glass, and in the center here, to save a bit on glass, I've just kept it all in one level. They're not in 2 separate tunnels, I've turned it into one tunnel here. The next thing to worry about with regards to this, obviously we've got to do the exact same thing on the other side as well, which is no problem. We can just copy and paste exactly what we've just done here, but before we do that, we obviously need a place to get on and off this. So the quickest and easiest way that I found, and I'm sure there are far more sophisticated ways of doing it, I'm not good enough at redstone to be able to work it out. So if I just put in a small platform here, because this would be normally where you'll be getting on and off. Technically, thinking about it, this should be slabs or glass or something that can't be spawned on. So let's get rid of that just so that we don't give that a reason. Now here is okay as long as there's nothing on there for it to spawn on, but we'll have a look. So let's put down some half slabs here so that nothing can spawn on here. Okay, so this is essentially your platform. Obviously you can choose to cover it, you can choose to make it bigger, you can do whatever you like with it. So I'm just going to make a small entryway there and not remove that. Okay. The other thing we need to worry about, of course, is if all of these are powered. At the moment I haven't powered them up, but if all of them are powered, then we need a way to shut this off. So let me first of all go around and power everything up, and again you can choose to power this up any way you like. I'm going to use levers at the moment, but it really does not matter, so I'll do that now and we'll cut back in a second. Okay, so I've got them all powered up, as you can see, and this is, I built this whilst I was doing it because it does take a bit of trial and error. You can see just here we have a rail that is not powered, which then allows this switch here to turn off everything up to where this switch is, and it turns off all of this. So if we quickly turn that off, you can see that's all off. So basically it's just a very short piece of track where you can, when you come up here, you just right click as you start heading towards it, you just right click on this switch and then it stops you right here, and then you can just go forward and come out. The reason why there was a lot of mucking about is because obviously I'm using these powered switches, all the levers down here going all the way down, and you just need to put them in the right position. So what I tend to do is I just make sure everything is completely powered. Then I come in here, I remove the one powered rail where I want to get the new bit of track that turns off, and I place that in, power it on, and then get rid of things that are under here. Any of my levers that are under here, I get rid of them and then move them so that I can get one area that gets powered off whenever this one is turned off. It just takes a little bit of jiggery pokery, but that's all done. I would also suggest, as this will be made in survival, that you might want to make this middle part here, at least near this area, you might want to put in some half slabs down here, because when you shift to get out, there's always that chance that you might come off on the wrong side and then you'd fall 200 blocks to your death. So that is all there is to the rail system in here. This is just the AFK system. We're going to do exactly the same all over again onto the other side. So I will do that off camera now, so just copy everything that you've done on this side over to here, and then we will start looking at the collection system. And that is this completed, the AFK system. So this is where you'd be sitting when you went away from your computer, and literally it goes into the top half of the farm, goes out far enough so that it goes back into spawning creepers back in the farm, and then as we come back in, those creepers at the moment will be totally still, and as we get nearer they then start to be able to move again. And so to go through, we can see masses of them down there, and they're all jumping off because they can move. Then we come back up here, and at the moment I've got this part of the track switched off. Obviously when you're AFK you keep that part switched on and you just keep on going round, and when you come out of AFK just click that switch as you come up to it. If you need a bit more of a run up, you can take a few more of these glass panels out before you get to it, and that can just turn it off, and then you just put yourself forward slightly and out you get. Now, as I said, put these down here in case you do come up on the wrong side. Right, so now we have done that system. The only thing really remaining, apart from, wishing you'd made it out of better materials, is to set up the killing system, which we'll do down here. And what we need from here is we need to go down 24. We need to make columns 24 long from here going down. And then we will start making the area where we do the collection and the killing. So I'll do that now. Okay, so that's that bit complete. So 24, 23, 25, it will kill the creeper, which is what we're trying to do. You could make this 50 and it will still kill the creepers. If you want to turn this into an XP farm, however, you would probably want to bring this up by maybe another 2 or 3, just so that they don't quite die, and then you can hit them with your sword and get the XP. But we're just making a farm here. We're not trying to make any XP, we're just trying to get drops. So the next part is to put in a floor here for them to die horribly on and go splat. So let's put that in. So we need to use half slabs, and that's because we don't want the creepers to spawn down here. We don't want anything to spawn down here. So we want to use a half slab, which is just a half block away from here. You see there's only a half block gap here. So I'll just quickly go round and put this in. Yep, and now they're all dying. Lovely, I can hear them go splat. So we want to put in some hoppers down here next. And so this is all down to the way you want to do it. You don't have to kill them this way. You could try using a lava blade, or and you can set up a different type of collection system. This is really, the farm is completed. This is just the final part, and you can do this however you want to. We can put in hoppers at this level, and I mean, I'm literally, I don't care how this is going, to be perfectly honest. It's really not important to me because I'm not going to be collecting much here, but I will quickly put in these hoppers here. There we go. Excellent. And I will drop apparently. And now we just need to, from this point on, you'd want to set up a chest system, some kind of collection system. So if I just quickly put in a chest here. Here we go. And try to find the center one, even though it's this dark. There it is, I think. Yep. And let's put that on next to it. Now obviously you can set this up however you like. You can have all the hoppers going to one of these edge ones, and then have a massive system, because for something this size, if you take it this full size, a double chest isn't going to do you. And you can put in as many chests as you like. You can also put in, probably a good thing to do here would be to put in a landing platform, so that you can fly up here and land. Or you could make those nice shiny new water elevators to come up here, whatever you like. But that is it completed. And if I just pull back, it's a big build. It's a very, very, very big build. What I'll do next is I will leave this one running, because I've not run one that was this size before. So I'll leave this running, and I'll give you an official figure on how many drops we get out of this per hour. And there we go. I have been AFK for 10 minutes, and we have 9 stacks of gunpowder. So over the course of an hour, that would entirely fill a double chest. So it's a double chest an hour, which is 3,456 items dropped per hour. So 3,500. And again, you can make this larger, you can make it smaller. So it doesn't have to be as huge as this, but it seems to be working really well. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.